For the longest while, I have recommended the Mara Detron as being one of the best secondary weapons in the game. And you know what? Regardless of what happens today, it still remains one of the best secondary weapons in the game. It has kind of a funky look, but speaking of a funky look, now it also has a challenger in the form of the Kuva Brakk. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be putting up these two Titan secondary weapons, one up against each other. And let's see the results and who's better and all whatnot. Now, just between you and me, I frankly use them both, and I recommend you guys build both of them, but let's go on with it. First off, the Kuva Brakk and the Mara Detron at a base stat level. When it comes to the accuracy, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. These are secondary shotguns. You're going to be using them up close and personal, or at least I hope you're going to be using them up close and personal, because take a look at the fall off. At the fall off section, yes, the Mara Detron does have a nice advantage, 16 to 30 instead of 10 to 20, but again, you're supposed to use these one close, otherwise your pellets are not really gonna be hitting your target, so bear that one in mind. Now, when it comes to the critical chance, it's a bloodbath. It is. I mean, there's no comparison here. The Kuva Brakk has the Mara Detron beat, dead to rights, 29 versus 8 and 2.0 versus 1.5. Pointless to discuss on this one, but don't worry, the Mara Detron does make up for lost ground a bit later. Fire rate of 5.8 versus 3.3, once again, advantage to the Kuva Brakk. Larger magazine as well, it also has half a meter worth of punch through, but the reload is just a smidge on the longer side, 1.1 instead of 1.0. When it comes to the status chance, since these are true 100% status weapons, 37% versus 32%. What exactly does that mean? That means that the Kuva Brakk only needs 3 of the 60-60 mods, while the Mara Detron still needs all 4 of the 60-60 mods to reach the magic 100% true status chance. And you will need that basically on both of these here weapons. Now let's talk about the damage. This is where the Mara Detron does make up for lost ground, at least sorta. 280 base damage, that's huge. That is undeniably huge, radiation damage by default. Now, if you take a look at the Kuva Brakk, you got impact, puncture, slash. Unfortunately, even though this is a status weapon, the highest amount is impact, which is a bit of a bummer. If you guys got minus impact revens for this one, it will be absolutely freaking fantastic. So once again, how much is that? That is 18, 90, 130 damage, but 130 versus 280. Of course, the Mara Detron has a lot more, but the Kuva Brakk will gain a bit more damage, considering that you can roll extra damage or bonus damage on it between 25 and 60%, depending on how lucky you are, and of course the actual element will depend on your progenitor. For example, if you want heat, go with Ember. If you want electricity, you can go with Valkyr. If you want Toxin, which I do recommend, go with Saryn. But even if you are to roll the perfect roll, I doubt there's a lot of them out there, but anyway, the perfect roll would be 60%, let's say Toxin for example. Even then, you wouldn't catch the Mara Detron in terms of damage. Now let's check out some standard builds for these two weapons. If you take a look at my Kuva Brakk, actually this is a pretty good roll. I think this is a 53 or 54% electricity roll, which worked out for me very, very well. One more thing about the Kuva weapons, they do have another advantage. They can get to mod capacity 80 out of 80. Now that is absolutely huge, but they need 5 forma to get there. Basically, these act exactly like the Paracesis. Every time you plug in a forma, you get 2 extra mod capacity. And of course, if you factor in the Auto King Catalyst, it doubles that. So bear that one in mind. As for a standard build on this one, again, the builds that you're going to be using should always include, for the Kuva Brakk, the magic 100% true status chance. You can get that with 3 of the 60-60 mods. In my case, we got Jolt, Pistol Pestilence, and Scorch. Of course, Battle Diffusion, Lethal Torrent, no point talking about these two. They are mandatory, as well as Hornet Strike on this one. Now, if you were to use these weapons with Chroma, Selfish Chroma, then 100% drop the damage mods, go for more elemental power. But in this case, we're going to be using them with a frame that has no effect on the damage of the weapons. One more thing, because the Kuva Brakk has critical chance and the Mara Detron not really, it can make use out of 2 very powerful prime mods, Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker. Again, it has that advantage. It can make use out of these 2 mods, so we should give the weapon every chance to win. And of course, we're going to be testing it out like this on Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. But first, let's make sure we're not cheating with anything. Yes. Damn it, why you always cheat? Energy Siphon, Power Drift, Arcane Energizing Guardian. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we're not going to be getting extra damage from that. We're going to be spawning in as before, the Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. And we're just going to go to town. Jesus. I mean, Jesus Christ. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love the Kuva Brakk, man. Honestly, I've been taking it basically everywhere since it was released, since I was fortunate enough to get such an awesome roll-on. I mean, take a look at it. It just shreds, man. It doesn't give up. It's just awesome. I love this secondary weapon. It's fantastic. But do you think the weapon would be performing a whole lot more weaker if we were not to use the prime mods? Because I know some of you guys might believe that, and we're not going to use the prime mods this time. Just really quick. Normal prime pistol gambit and prime target cracker. And we're going to be spawning again the same corrupted heavy goons, level 120. And don't worry, we're going to be discussing Revens and all whatnot, but just a tad later. As you can see, the weapon can still 100% absolutely wreck high-level targets. Now, with more critical chance and critical damage, overstrip happens a whole lot less. But to be honest with you guys, overstrip is something that you need to worry about if you're a min-maxer. If you want the every last little bit of piece of damage, or if you're going a couple of hours into a survival, for example, and you will meet level 200s or something like that, okay, then you need to worry about overstrip. But even then, you can strip a target with a weapon, and then you can switch to another weapon entirely, something like Vital Slash, okay, and to finish off the target. But for most players, the point is, don't worry too much about overstrip, just know that it exists. Now, enough about this one, let's move over to the Mara Detron. If there's one thing I never freaking liked about this weapon, why does it need to look like a goddamn toy? But anyway, for a standard build on this one, we're gonna go as before with a whole lot of damage and multi-shot. No point for critical chance and critical damage, my friends, because take a look. Even if I was to go with prime, 23% with 3.2, it's not really all that worth it. From my humble point of view, you can do it. Again, I'm not going to stop you because, again, this is a very powerful weapon and you don't need necessarily to build it in just one way. So what do we said? We had damage, and of course we got multi-shot, the 460-60 mods, Jolt, Scorch, Pistol Pestilence, and Frostbite. Now in this case, we also went for Magnum Force. Since we can't really leverage critical chance, critical damage, we went for Magnum Force with 165% damage, minus 55% accuracy. I would have preferred not to lose the accuracy, but to be honest, considering how close up I used it, it doesn't really matter all that much. We got Blast, Radiation, and Corrosive on the weapon. You see, that's one of the problems with using all the 460-60 mods. It kind of forces me into some elemental combos that I wouldn't necessarily want to make. So if you get a Riven with status chance, you can leverage and you can manipulate the elemental combos a whole lot better to your advantage. So let's check out the weapon like this versus the same corrupted heavy goons, level 120. And then we're going to be talking about Riven mods and all whatnot. And again, rapid fire fashion. Now, of course, the targets are getting knocked down simply because I do have Blast on the weapon, which is a bit of a pain. Now, if I was to take my time and go shot-by-shot action, you will see that it only takes a couple of shots to kill one of these high-level targets, but this is not gonna happen in average everyday gameplay, is it? You're just gonna go rapid-fire, I'm assuming, okay? You're just gonna go kill your target as fast as possible. And yes, as you can see, there is a fair amount of overstrip. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that this doesn't look as impressive as the Kuva Brakk did earlier. It's a newer weapon, and let's be honest here, it is the more powerful weapon. There's just no doubt about it. This does not mean that the Mara Detron cannot pack a punch. This does not mean that the Mara Detron should not be built and enjoyed. It just means it was basically outgunned, outpowered by the Kuva Brakk. It has crit, what can I tell you guys? It has crit, and it can reach the magic 100% through status chance easier because it got that base of 37%, even though the Mara Detron does have a much larger base damage pool. And with that said, friends, you might say, hey, Rivens are gonna save us, right? Well, not really, my friends, because basically both of these weapons have Riven Dispo of 3 out of 5. So, there you go. When it comes to Riven disposition, they're basically on equal footing. That said, the clear winner is the Kuva Brakk. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Now, also in the comment section down below, if you guys want to suggest any particular type of content. Now, in all honesty, I can promise you that it'll be done by next time, or even within a week, because these things can take a little bit of time to make. But what I can promise you is that I will be reading for each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. And don't worry, the Nutella build guide sandwich is coming soon. Build guide sandwich, definitely. See you guys in the next one.